Coming up in today's episode, we drive to Detroit, we traverse the North Terminal at Detroit Metro, we then get on a plane flying to Boston Logan Airport, where we're finally able to experience the Chase Sapphire Reserve Lounge before boarding our flight to Amsterdam, where we'll experience JetBlue's Mint experience in the studio and the suite. We'll get a little bit of shut-eye in the lie-flat business class flying up front before we finally land in Amsterdam and start our Euro trip 2024. Hey travelers, that's me, Brian, also known as the OCD Traveler. And that's my beautiful daughter, Maddie. As you can probably tell, Maddie just graduated from high school. And before she leaves me forever, we decided to take an epic trip. Only backpacks, 14 days, 7 countries, traveling Europe, and you're invited. So let's go. This is part 1, Travel Day. And so it begins. We have 2 backpacks and 2 personal items, and we are ready to rock pretty soon. Well, now that our bags are packed up in the great state of Michigan, we've got to load up the car. We're going to take my daughter's little Subaru. We're going to go from Grand Rapids on the west side of the state over to Detroit. Well, kind of Detroit to Detroit Metro Airport.
Hey travelers, it's Brian, the OCD Traveler, and I'm with
Maddie.
And we are starting our European adventure. We just left home. Maddie is driving us, and I'm going to do some work as we go from Grand Rapids to Detroit. We go from Detroit to Boston, and then Boston to Amsterdam to kick things off. We're actually going to my parents' house first in Metro Detroit. Maddie has her first academic advising session with Michigan State University. So we're going to do that. It is a jam-packed day as I try to do some work. And then later on, we will relax once we're lying flat in our Mint suites on JetBlue. But right now, it's a 2-hour drive to Detroit.
Learning how to drive in the Motor City definitely made me aggressive, so after about an hour of backseat driving, we stopped at Dunkin' Donuts and I took over driving duties. So at Dunkin', we fueled up with an eclair, the custard kind, not that white powder crap, a sourdough egg sandwich, a coffee, and it was $10.45, and they were back on the road. After another hour on the road, we stopped by my parents' house. Mandy did her first ever academic advising session with Michigan State. She filled her fall schedule in, and then we were back on the road to the Dearborn Doubletree Hotel, where we're going to park for only $5 a day versus $15 to $20 at the airport. And here we are at the Doubletree.
All right, part 2 of the adventure. We got the car dropped off here, about 20 minutes away from the airport. We're going to walk over to our Uber, I hope. Good news is it's like 90 degrees and probably 100% humidity, so lovely day. We're waiting for Mackenzie in a black XT5 to take us to the airport. That's probably extremely close up. Good, how about you?
The ride with Mackenzie was pretty uneventful aside from his XT5, which is kind of a Cadillac crossover. Sounded like it was about to explode. I think his transmission is going, it's one of those continuous flow transmissions, and when he revved, it sounded like it was a plane about to take off. But in total, it was a $13.16 trip. And then when we got to the airport, we didn't have to check luggage. We were all checked in because we're just carry-on. So we made it through the TSA, which proved to be a little bit of a crap show.
And pretty much the worst TSA process ever. Belts broke down. People were yelling at TSA pre-check. We still got to move 3 cartons of stuff to a different lane. It was a lot of fun. Not a lot of smiles, but we are looking for a lounge now. Try to get in here.
We're going to attempt to use our Priority Pass lounge card. It rarely works, but here goes.
We're on the other side, baby.
We were rejected for half an hour. They have a blackout period till 4 o'clock, so now we can go to Anita's kitchen. Of course, we are here. We have to go where? D24. Ready?
Okay.
All right, let's go. All right, attempt number 2 at Anita's kitchen.
If you don't know about Priority Pass, it's a lounge access card that comes with some premium cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve as well as the Amex Platinum. Now, if you have with the Chase Sapphire Reserve until July 1st of 2024, it actually covers restaurants like Anita's Kitchen. So when we go there and show our Priority Pass card, we'll each get a $28 food and beverage voucher, which should completely cover our meal. But of course, they're ending that perk as of July 1st. Anita's Kitchen's a Metro Detroit staple. It serves Lebanese food, so we each got a shawarma, which we love.
So hot take, I think we might already have our weirdest, strangest thing that happened.
The bathroom?
You hear my man's car sounded like it was going to explode. The Uber?
I thought it was fine.
No, what? His check engine light was on. His check engine light was on, and it sounded. You didn't hear going. Are you
I
kidding?
thought it was him just like
No.
speeding up. I didn't
I
think.
think his transmission's about to go.
Oh, well, teacher and I thought my man's car was about to explode. You can see Maddie didn't quite see it that way, but soon enough, our shawarmas were out. So let's take a look and take a test.
See how that does with my $28 credit. Back with you, Chew.
Really goes off.
I called it shawarma. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10.
Don't talk with your mouth full, dude. Didn't your mom teach you any manners? Of course she did. But within a couple of minutes, our plane was at the gate and started to board. So in we got. Now, I never noticed this before. My daughter always touches the plane before she boards a plane. Do you do that? Tell me in the comment section below. But we quickly found our seats in row 7. This was a 2-2 plane, so relatively small Embraer 190. And what's weird about this is we did book Mosaic, so front of the seat, business class on the transatlantic portion, but they didn't carry those benefits through to the domestic transfer from Detroit to Boston. So we still had to get kind of basic economy seats. But as you can see, I'm disgusted by airplanes, so I wiped it down with a lot of Purell and love. But here we are in seats 7A and 7B with our backpacks overhead.
All
Is it
right.
shut?
Yep. No, not yet. So we are a little bit late to go to Boston.
Sure, we're late, but plenty of time to take a selfie for mom, and soon we're in the air.
Will turn on automatically in water. Never inflate the vest.
And just like that, we have liftoff for about the hour and 20 minutes it'll take to get over to Boston. And say what you will about JetBlue, but one thing I love is the fact that all of their planes have those in-flight TVs, and they do give you the full can of pop, even at an hour, and then come around with a snack basket so you can take whatever you want, as opposed to just pretzels or peanuts. So not only were we living it up in our seats, but also living it up in the spacious lavatory. Always got to show you the lovely lavatories on board. So a quick flight into dreary Boston, but it's awesome to land there and look at everything around the coastline. And now we're in terminal.
Now open your B40.
We've had the Chase Sapphire Reserve card since its inception, I think in 2016 or 2017, and it really got us started on a lot of our better travel. So we were excited to be able to experience the Chase Sapphire Reserve Lounge, I think the only one that they have in the country, but we're looking all over Boston Logan for it. Initially, Boston Logan looked like a pretty tired airport, but we got into this new section. It looked a lot nicer. And we found the Chase Sapphire Reserve Lounge, and lucky us, it was right across the hall from our gate. They did tell us it would be about a 30-minute wait to get in, but they called us within 5 minutes, so that was great. And we were in the elevator. We checked in, got the Wi-Fi password, and then found ourselves a seat. As you can see here, there is a QR code at your table, or if you scan that, you can actually order food. You can order beverages. Unfortunately, our first food and beverage order was completely lost, so we had to reorder it, but it was a nice, convenient option. As you can see, the lounge is nice and modern and open and airy, and I liked it a lot better than the Amex Centurion lounges I've been to. I'm sure that'll be a controversial take. Now we wait. You can see second from the top there, flight 631, 10:34 p.m. departure to Amsterdam on JetBlue. I don't want to make this weird, so not a lot of bathroom footage. What I will tell you is people were signing up to take showers all night long, so that's an option there too. And we eventually got our food orders. I got a meatball sub. My daughter got children's chicken fingers and fries. She loved her Poppy. I had a great mixed drink, but we were having a good time being out of the crowds. And after we enjoyed our light meal, I pulled up YouTube and started looking at instructions for Holafly. Now, I'm not going to give you a big sales pitch on Holafly, but what I can tell you is for less than $80, my daughter and I got unlimited access throughout Europe. I'll give you a link below that'll save you 5%. There is one step that they don't share that did kind of bite me in the rear end, but let me know in the comment section if it's something you think I should take more time with, but I highly recommend it.
Cheers.
What is that? What is that?
It's some sort of a bourbon drink. We're in the Sapphire Reserve Lounge now, and they missed our order the first time, but she's getting chicken fingers and fries and a meatball sandwich, and a specialty bourbon drink, the dried orange on the top. That's Poppy. What do you have?
Brownie bites? And Rice Krispie treats.
They good?
Really good, huh?
Really good.
And soon our time in the lounge drew to an end, so we headed back down the elevator. I will admit, I am guilty of being one of those guys that wants to be one of the first on the plane, especially when I'm flying in business class. I want to maximize the amount of time that I have. But luckily, it was a quick walk across the gate, and we were ready to load. And there she is, the plane that's going to take us over to Amsterdam on about an 8-hour flight, but not before we get a selfie at the gate to send back home to mom. And then down the jet bridge we go, passports in hand. A quick little tap on the side of the plane, as I pointed out earlier, and we are on board our JetBlue A321neo. All right, now before we go any further, let's talk a little bit about the JetBlue Mint experience. Starting with the obvious, we know that we are extremely fortunate enough to be doing this, and not everyone can, so we are blessed and we're thankful. I truly validate the spend because it maximizes my vacation. I will land more refreshed than if I tried to sleep in economy, but you'll see me be very cheap in other parts of the trip. But JetBlue Mint is kind of unique in that it's on a narrow-body plane in a 1-1 configuration. And while booking, you have the choice between the Mint Studio, which is a $199 or more upgrade. It was $299 for our flight, or the standard suite. Both are excellent options, and you just saw pictures of both.
I'm going to have to come back by you for...
Yep, don't mind me. That was me strategizing how to put our bags in the overhead. It's crazy. I'm crazy. But here I am sitting down. We had the first 2 seats, row 1, row 2. And I'm just starting to get accustomed to everything that my studio has to offer, including slippers and that little locker that only the studio, those up front seats, will have. And shortly thereafter, the flight attendant came to offer drinks.
How are you?
My name is gonna be working with. I see that your first time with us.
It is.
Yes, okay. You had this wonderful suite.
Yes.
And you had a lot of amenities here. You had us a 3 table so because somebody wanted them there.
That's my daughter right here.
She can sit here and join you for dinner.
Okay.
And later she can go back and have her nap.
Okay.
So yes, the only safety feature about this specific seat is the shoulder harness. Only for takeoff and landing. Okay.
And we don't have the cool bags. Did they have I thought they upgraded the bags. No.
No, they probably short it and they put in this.
Okay,
They're
gotcha.
supposed to be
All
something
good.
else.
Okay.
I know which one you want.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about.
Is one of these champagne or?
Champagne with elderberry and seltzer water and champagne. Which one you prefer?
You said with the elderberry?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Let me put this one here and here you go.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So my name is. Just asking, it's a red eye, so it's a fit menu. Just start to place your order and we know you're going to join us for dinner.
Okay.
Or you want to sleep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So the flight attendants were great. Couple of things you probably heard. First, there's a little jumper seat, so if Maddie wants to, she can come sit next to me at dinner. We didn't do that. She also showed me that you had to have the shoulder strap on during takeoff. And then last, they did upgrade their vanity kit bags. They said on LinkedIn that they were out there and available. They're not.
After the van and then on plane, how you should place your
What's that?
suitcase.
This started moving
Again,
by itself.
wheels
I don't know how to get it
or
back
handle
in.
facing out.
I know, first world problems. Maddie's trying to figure out the seat, but let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other amenities that Mint has to offer. Tell me in the comments section, do you hate it when people take their shoes and socks off on board? I certainly did. It was nice, however, to be able to take your shoes off, put on their comfy socks and their really comfortable slippers while you're lounging around after a day of a lot of walking. But the most difficult part of the day is over, so it was time to say cheers to takeoff. But Maddie first was looking at some of the things included in the amenity kit.
Did you see this? It's a full box.
Cheers. Sparkling water.
Yeah, like seltzer water. Ooh, there's like something in it.
Probably yeah.
I can give an entire locker.
One thing about this narrow body, shorter plane is you don't have the 2 entry doors, so a lot of times economy will enter through a different door, which makes it less awkward for people to pass you by. But you can see I was testing out the door's locked until takeoff. It's got this nice adjustable TV screen, which came in handy. It does have a nice drawer as well that'll fit up to a 16-inch laptop and some of your cords, so they did think of quite a bunch of things. You can see that the locker, including my OCD traveler hat, is just in those 2 front seats, one on the left, one on the right. Then right by your right armrest, they've got a spot for water. They did supply nice water. Another compartment there if you wanted to put some cords or things that you wanted quick access to. And then a wireless charging platform, which kind of sort of work. They never work great, do they? And there's a better look inside that compartment next to the water bottle. There's the seat that Maddie could sit in for dinner if she wanted to. And we'll close up the locker. And looking over to the side, you can see that they do have some headphones, some noise-canceling headphones that we will check out later in 2 different outlets or charging points. There's a little draw-out table that I'll use for dinner, but a very well-designed studio suite. I really enjoyed the Mint experience. And as we get closer, you can see I've got the shoulder strap on, and then you can use your cell phone as a remote for the TV. I actually never use that. There's also a retractable remote to your left, and the TV is touchscreen, so a bunch of different options. JetBlue allows free Wi-Fi. You have to watch an advertisement, but it's well worth it. It's not great, but it's certainly better than not having any at all. And then up next, I will go ahead and start ordering my meals through the touchscreen. That was a nice, convenient option as well. You can see it does allow for 2 different meals. The main meal, which is right after takeoff, and then pre-arrival about 90 minutes to 2 hours before. It makes it look like you're placing an order for meal, but with the Savor and Sleep, they're just going to bring out a standard plate as long as you want it, don't want to sleep. It's always weird having a big heavy meal at 11 or 11:30 and then trying to go to sleep, but I did go through the order up section for dinner. And then for your pre-arrival meal you can skip. You can order actual, entrees, or you can get it to go. My daughter got it to go. Maddie got it to go. It was not very good. And then as you can see, I will go ahead and order up this coconut yogurt, and then we'll try the frittata as well. And then get all of that ordered in, which they will later confirm in person. And then after typing in the name OCD Traveler, I go ahead and submit, and then they will take that order. They come around and ask you what we'd like to drink. So that's the personal bit of service, and then they confirm that they have the order that you put in.
And boarding is complete. And flight crew members, please prepare for departure.
Yeah, baby, it's takeoff time. Let's get out of the United States and over into Europe. But before we take off, of course, business class or not, I'm still going to give this a Clorox wipe down just to make sure everything's as clean as I can get it before they start bringing out the food. And as we neared takeoff, I did test out the noise-canceling headphones that they give you. The Infotainment Center had live TV, TV shows, a host of movies. Their infotainment system was quite good. Definitely something for everybody. And then you might find this a little corny, but with the overhead lights turned off, you can see there's a nice little reading light. There's also a mood light, that little green button with that light switch next to it. You can change the color that's kind of presented within your suite while things are dimmed. A green option, a calming blue, more of a red tone, an amber, a purple. It was a really cool feature that you probably don't need in your life, but it was nice to have. And here's a quick scan through the menu. You can see they've got some mixed drinks. They also have seltzers and beer and liquor, as well as a pretty decent wine list if you're into wine. And then they do have the food menu as well, even though that's all available through your infotainment system. Just kind of gives you a background on how they inspired the dishes and then what they will be serving. There's no doubt I've seen a more extensive menu on Qatar Airlines, for example, but this was more than enough to get us through the night. As I get that light turned off, isn't this a nice calming blue that I'm enjoying? Maddie's back there watching something on TV, and we are ready to get this plane off the ground. You can see we are taxiing. Let's take off. Look, no one said my time lapse of my GoPro was going to be perfect, but we are in the air. Now that we're in the air, I was attempting to close the door on my studio, but they actually have to unlock it from the outside first. No big shakes. JetBlue Mint does feature Tuft and Needle. That's a premium bedding maker. Comes with both a memory foam pillow, which is great, as well as a comforter that you can see has a bunch of different functions. You can do a foot nook, some sort of an apron. I didn't do any of that. I just use it as a blanket, but it's kind of cool little niche thing. Not too long after takeoff, I did have their Aperol Spritz, and they brought out some nuts, which were not warmed. And then they brought out all the food at once. A farro salad, cavatelli, some sort of a pasta with tomato sauce, and then a pretty dry rough chicken, as well as bread. And then for dessert, a vanilla gelato that had some preserved blackberries and almond crunch on top. Now that was delicious. All in all, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. And then with dinner done, let's take a look at the Amenity kit. So they do provide some nice earplugs, which trust me, I take advantage of. And next up, a face wipe just to get you cleaned up before you go to bed. A rather disgusting energy liquid that I will try in the morning but don't recommend. A toothbrush and some toothpaste that I can assure you ripped up my gums but still did the job. And then some lip treatment, which Maddie absolutely loved. And what I'm not showing is an eye mask. The eye mask was actually quite good, really good quality, but I'm going to go ahead here and brush my teeth and call it a night. As I brush my teeth and head to the lavatory, one word of caution, make sure you put your shoes back on. Don't take your slippers into the lavatory, it's just gross. With the bed in full recline, earplugs in, we'll get the eye mask on and get a couple hours of sleep.
About 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours indoors.
So about 4 hours later, you can see we've moved all the way outside the coast of Ireland, so we're getting closer and closer to our destination of Amsterdam, and we are high above those clouds. Just as they promised, about 90 minutes before we touch down, they serve breakfast. I know you're not supposed to drink coffee on a flight, but I can't help myself. There's a frittata, there's the parfait, a nice croissant. Let's dig in. Again, I won't make you watch this whole thing. Speeding right along through this, I will say breakfast was pretty darn good. I didn't get any kind of alcohol, had my coffee, had some water. Maddie did get the to-go breakfast, which she was quite disappointed by. Here's a look at the coastline. You can see it way in the distance there and some of those ferries down below. And then we get closer and closer as I start to pack up the suite. There it is. There's Amsterdam, or at least the Netherlands. And still closer yet, there is the beach. There is ground. Getting closer, we're completely over land. So 18 hours later at 10:40 a.m. local time, we land at Amsterdam Schiphol Airport, which I know I said completely wrong, but we are here. So let's recap the day.
Good morning from Amsterdam. Tired?
I was good when I woke up and now I'm a little sleepy.
How long do you think you slept?
4.5 hours?
4.5 hours. What was the best thing you ate yesterday?
The food in the lounge.
Food in the lounge? The chicken fingers?
No, the
Shawarma.
Shawarma.
Shawarma's at Anita's kitchen. Most interesting thing that happened, weirdest thing, was what?
You said the car.
I think the car, that or the TSA debacle, which you weren't even a part of. And then, what was the other part? Best thing we did? Probably just experience business class?
Yeah, that's probably the nicest we've been on so far. Well,
Yeah.
I've been on so far, yeah.
Yeah, JetBlue Mint was well worth it. So now we're going to go past immigrations, get our public transportation tickets, and stow our luggage for a couple hours. We have a train in about 3 hours, so we got time to kill.
Well, that's a wrap on day one, but hit like and subscribe so you can join us next time on part 2 of this 14-part series as we travel into the heart of Amsterdam and tour around a little bit before we jump on a train the same day and head into Brussels, where we'll tour the city, stay in a hostel, and enjoy some of the local cuisine. But this is the OCD Traveler reminding you to plan, travel, and repeat. Take care, everybody.